Hey guys, welcome to this session of Survey and Research Methodology. So, what is survey? Survey is a method of gathering information from a sample of individuals. So, this is the survey of public opinion from a particular sample. So, this survey is a powerful and scientific tool for gathering accurate and useful information. So, how we can gather the information? By asking some questions from a sample of population. So, it may be a verbal surveys, that is your interviews, and written surveys are questionnaires. So, what is this questionnaires here? Questionnaires means a set of printed or written questions with a choice of some answers. And next, census. Census means a count of population of a country and at the location where each person usually located. And what is sample? Sample is a group of people or objects that are taken from a larger population for the measurement. Then random. Random is in which each member of the subset has an equal probability of being chosen. The next is surveys are related to sampling, interviewing, threats of validity, and ethics. So, sampling is from where or from whom are we getting the information. So, interviewing, how are we getting the information? That is, by which technique of surveys we are getting the information. And threats of validity, what will affect the validity of the results. Then ethics, this ethics respects the people opinion and confidentiality of the information which is shared by the individuals in the results. So next, why surveys? So why we need this survey in research methodology? So these surveys provide an important source of basic scientific knowledge because these are the most reliable method to get real feedback from the people. So, who may conduct a survey? So, the economists, psychologists, health professionals, political scientists, and others who are all in need to get some information may conduct this survey on their particular study, like income and expenditure patterns among households, the roots of ethnic or racial prejudice, the implications of health problems on people's lives, comparative voting behavior, the effects on family life of women who is working outside the home. So these are all some instances for conducting a survey. And next is classification of surveys. So there are three broad classifications, that is by size, by result type, and by time and population. So by size we can conduct the social survey, community survey, and school survey. So what is social survey? Social survey involves obtaining the information in a standardized form by large groups of people. So what is community survey? This community survey is also called as field survey. So it is a methodology of assessing a need based upon information which is collected from a sample or population community. And what is the school survey? The school survey were introduced into young lives in the year 2010 in order to capture the detailed information about the children's experiences of schooling and to improve our understandings. Then by result type, that is it tells that the result is type of which type of, that is quantitative or qualitative. Then by time and population, so this is by result type. By descriptive surveys are used to gather the information largely on what people do and think. So here the researcher will use this type of survey to find out what the young people think about the drugs and what drugs they have used and with what frequency. So this type of survey is qualitative method or research. So what is qualitative? It is a method of inquiry that develops understanding on human and social sciences to find out the way the people think and feel. Next is analytical surveys. So these surveys are used to answer the research questions or to test the hypothesis. Here the researcher will collect the data from the general population which is in detailed information on health habits like on diet, exercise or smoking and so on. So this analytical survey is of type quantitative. So what is quantitative? It is used to generate numerical data and some hard facts by employing some statistical, logical and some mathematical techniques. So the types of time and population. So the time and types of time and population is divided into cross-sectional surveys and longitudinal surveys. Again, this longitudinal is subdivided into trend study, cohort study, and panel study. So first, cross-sectional surveys. So what is cross-sectional surveys? So it is a type of observational study. So that analyzes the data from a population or a specific point in a time. So if you take an example, a researcher might collect cross-sectional data on past smoking habits and current diagnosis of living, that is lung cancer. So, what is longitudinal survey? This longitudinal survey is a research design that involves repeated observations of the same variables over short or long period of time. So, that is subdivided into three types: trend study, cohort study, and panel study. So, trend study. This trend study where a researcher examines the changes in trends over time. So that is the main focus of this survey, that is trend study, is to perhaps not on surprisingly happening. So for example, a researcher might be interested in the attribute, that is attitudes of university deans towards the use of flexible scheduling. So the population for this research problem is university deans in entire state, and instrument is, that is to gather the information, is questionnaire, and the number of samples is 3 in a semester. Next is cohort study. So here members of the population will not change, but the members surveyed will change. So the example, the university deans of management sciences want to know the importance of teaching methodologies and languages. So this is the research problem. For this research problem, the population is whole management science graduates from 2001 to 2009. And the instrument, that is the information gathering, is questionnaire, and the number of samples is 4 from every batch. Next is panel study. Here, thus, they will use the same sample always. That is, they will use the same samples for the survey in the whole population. So, for example, at the beginning of the year, a special language course is implemented for BS architect students. The dean thinks that students attending this problem, that is program, are going to be able to solve accountancy problems in less time and more accurately than those who attend the regular program. So, for this problem, the population is all the BS architect students of a specific batch, and the instrument to gather the information is a set of accountancy problems, and the number of samples is 3 in a year. And next, comparison of time and base sums, that is advantages and disadvantages. So for cross sectional, all the information is collected at once. So for trend study, here the member of population will change over time without affecting the result. And the disadvantage is not the analysis is done for the individuals but not for the groups. And for cohort study, advantages is it is possible to the selection of different sample, and here the members of the population will not change. And in the panel study, advantages is they will use the same sample always, and a disadvantage is loss of individuals could happen here. And these are the steps in survey research. First is state the objectives of the survey, define the target population, define the data to be collected, define the required precision and accuracy, define the measurement instrument, define the sample frame, then sample size and sampling method, then select the sample, then collect the data, then data analysis, at last result. So first, state the objectives of the survey. So here we have to define specifically the problem we are intended to solve. So if we cannot state the objectives of the survey, we are unlikely to generate usable results. So we have to be able to formulate something quite detailed. It may be organized around a clear statement of a testable hypothesis. So next is defining the target population. So here we have to define the target population on finite populations and some continuous phenomena. And then define the data to be collected. See here, what are all the naive information do you need to solve the problem? So to get the naive information, prepare some hypothetical tables of the results. So this hypothetical table helps us to separate need to know, that is not to, that is not nice to know, need to know than nice to know, and it focuses on groups. So by this groups, it will help to find out which questions to ask in a survey. And next, fourth, define the required precision and accuracy. Here, the most subjective stage is defining the precision, that is, quality with which the data should be collected. The precision can be only be correctly estimated if we conduct a census. So, the precision provided by this sample survey is an estimation to the tightness of the range of the estimates of the population. So, when we estimate this population value from a sample, we can only work out how accurate the sample estimate is if we actually know the correct value. So, which we rarely do, but we can estimate the likely accuracy. Then define the measurement instrument. Here we are measuring the instrument in, that is, we are selecting the instrument for gathering the information, that is interview, observation or questionnaire, to survey the data that is generated and to produce the useful information. The ideas that is motivated the survey must be translated into good questions. And next, define what kind of information you need. That is, we need to clarify that what are all the kinds of information we are looking for the survey. So first, what people do or what they are. So that we have to clarify that their behavior or attributes. And then what people say they want or what they think is true. So here we will specify their attributes or beliefs and analyze the different ways of communication in survey. So by mail, that is visual, and by telephone we can hear, then all forms like interviews, face-to-face interviews, and by internet. Then define the sample frame, sample size and sampling method. So sample frame is the list of people that make up the target population. So this sample frame, it is a list of individuals who meet all the requirements to be a member of that population. So sample size is a sample is selected from the sample frame, and the sampling method, it is a process by which we choose the members of the sample. So here the sample is selected using the sample method defined and from the sample frame by specifying the sample size. And the process of generating a sample required some several critical decisions to be made. So mistakes at this stage will compromises. Fail by selecting the sample. Then there is a possibility of invalidates, and there is an entire survey that is making some decisions by using this sample frame and sample size and sampling method. Then collecting the data. So this applies the instrument to collect the data. So this is the place where we apply the instrument to collect the, that is to gather the information. So there are different models to collect the data: telephone survey, direct administration to a group, personal interview, by your mail, or on internet survey and email. Then models of data collection. So by direct administration, telephone, mail and personal interview. So for comparative cost. So in the direct administration, the comparative cost is lowest. In telephone, same. In the mail, same. So in the personal interview, the comparative cost is high. So what are all the facilities needed? So we need the facilities in data administrative, yes. In the telephone, no. Mail, no. Personal interview, yes. So require training of questionnaires. In the direct administration, yes. In the telephone, yes. In the mail, no need of training for the questionnaires. And personal interview, yes. Then data collection time, the time of data collection. The shortest time in data direct administration. So in the telephone also there is a shortest time. For mail, the longer time. For personal interview, there is the longest time. Then the response rate, very high in the direct administration, good in telephone, poorest in mail, and very high in personal interview. Then group administration possible. So yes in direct administration, no need of personal group administration in telephone. So here in the mail also no need of group administration, and in the personal interview there should be a group administration in the personal interview. So allow for random sampling. So possibly in the direct administration there is a random sampling. So in the telephone there should be a random sampling. So in the mail also there should be a random sampling, and in a personal interview there should be a random sampling. So literate sample. So requirement of literate sample. So yes, in the direct administration, no. For telephone sampling survey, there is no need of literate sample. And for the mail, yes. For the personal interview, no. Then permit follow-up questions. So for direct administration, no. For the telephone, yes. Mail, no. Personal interview, yes. So encourage the response to the sensitive topics. In the direct administration, somewhat to one extent, and in the telephone to one some extent, and the mail for best extent, and the personal interview weak extent. And for standardization of responses, in the direct administration it is very easy. In the telephone to towards somewhat extent, and the mail easy, whereas in the personal it is very hardest. And some advantages and disadvantages of telephone survey, direct administration, and personal interview, and mail. So advantage of telephone survey is it has quick results and less expensive than personal interview. And disadvantages is it is non-response response and incomplete list type of questions to us ask. And in the direct administration it is a short response time, and preparedness of respondents is low. Then personal interview, that is short response time and less time consuming than this telephone survey. And this personal interview is expensive, and training is needed, and it is more sensitive to bias, which is unfair. And mail, this mail is very cheap according to the time and money, and it is anonymous, less sensitive to the bias, and it has some specific population easily targeted. So disadvantages: non-coverage area errors and low responses rate, and it has long response time. So don't know who will respond to the mail. So these are all the advantages and disadvantages of the models of data collection. So next is internet survey and email. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of for internet and email. So under internet, so it is very fast and cheap, and also complex keeping questions and longer answer to the open-ended pictures, sounds, video, etc. So it has many responses in few days. And whereas for disadvantages for internet is it uses of internet is not universal and easy to quit without finishing. So don't know who will respond and no control over many responses. And email, so it is cheap and very fast. Practically, this is no cost, and pictures and sound attached easily. Then higher response than registered mail. So disadvantages of email is list of email added is needed, and many responses and passes to the friends is not available, and unsolicited, that is unrequested email is not welcome, and it cannot generalize some findings. So next is data analysis. So here, analyzing the your collected data. So firstly, clean the questionnaires. That is, overall the respondents who only answer a portion of your questions, so that should be clean. And the respondents who doesn't meet your targets criteria, that should be clean. And respondents who provide unrealistic answers, that should be cleaned. And respondents who provide unrealistic answers, that is like your speed through your survey, that has to be cleaned. And code the questionnaire. So now we have the questionnaires data. So then we would like to analyze the data. So this is the first step of data analysis is data coding. So it is a transformation of our questionnaires data into another format. So first one is close-ended questions. So here if you can answer a question with only yes or no response, then you are answering a close-ended question. That is, are you feeling better today? You will tell yes or no, right? So that is close-ended question. Next is open-ended question. So this open-ended question are those which require more thoughts and more than a simple one-word answer. That is, for instance, what is your favorite memory from childhood? childhood. So this is open-ended questions. Then partially close-ended questions. So this partially close-ended questions, it provides a compromise between this open and closed-ended questions. Then missing data. So this missing data is or missing values. It occurs when no data value is stored for the variable in an observation. Then decide which statistics are most useful to you. Then interpretation, that is explanation or simplification, which is looking for the results that matters here. And next 10 is results. So here abstraction or executive summary of the survey. Then problem statement, that is this problem statement is a short and clear explanation of the issue to be researched. So it sets up the context, relevance and aims of the project. So then methods and procedures should be undertaken, and error structures and acceptability to thereof, and some findings. Your findings means this includes the data presented in tables, charts, graphs and other figures. And then implications. So see, these implications are the conclusions that you draw from your results and explain how the findings may be important for the policy and the practice. Then appendices. See, this is the section at the end of the book containing some additional information. So next, types of errors. So first type error is coverage error. So this error occurs when the list from which a sample is drawn doesn't include all the elements of the population that researchers wish to study. Then sampling error. This error occurs when the researchers survey only a subset or sample of the people in the population instead of conducting a census. Then measurement error. This error occurs when a respondent's answer to a given question is inaccurate, imprecise, that is, this is not actual, or it cannot be compared in any useful way to other respondents' answer. And then non-response error. This error occurs when a significant number of people in the survey sample do not respond to the questionnaire and are different from those who do in a way that is important to the study. So these are all the types of errors. And some problems in a survey research, like in a non-response errors. So it is very likely that here the respondents differ with regards to the answers to the survey questions. So first one is total non-response. That is, a questionnaire is itself missing. That is, the questionnaire is not returned to the place. And then item non-response. Here a specific item of a questionnaire is missing. That is left, which is left unanswered. And solutions or suggestions for increasing the response rate. So first one, use multiple contacts, like send a preliminary announcing of the survey and mail the survey to all the respondents at the same time and send a reminder to all the respondents, then send an acknowledgement card thanking the respondents. Then use some printed stationery and personalized letters. Then include a stamped pre-addressed return envelopes to the respondents and include a token of thanks like as gifts to the respondents, so with your initial questionnaire as an incentive. Thank you.